Hello, I'm Zetta Thomelin. I'm joined today by Georgina McKinnon. Hi, Georgina.
Hi, Zetta. It's nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. We wanted to talk to you today about IBS and how hypnotherapy can be used as an effective treatment for IBS. Now, I wanted to do this because I attended a Royal Society of Medicine webinar about this, held by Professor Paulson from the University of North Carolina. And he was saying in America, hypnotherapy has been used really widely to treat IBS and gut-related symptoms, and we're just trailing behind here in England at the moment, which is a real shame because it gets so many opportunities are being missed for healing and recovery for people. He explained that 4 in 10 people in the world will have a gut brain disorder at some point. That's the communication between the brain and the stomach and the digestive system. And that it's an issue that's really growing. I don't know whether it's to do with our food or the stress, the way we live our lives, but it's a growing problem. So hypnotherapy has been investigated extensively for treatment. There were 12 randomized controlled trials in which hypnotherapy came out top in 9 of them. It was better than the pharmaceutical or other interventions. In the other 3, it came out equal to the pharmaceutical interventions. So when you think of the side effects of pharmaceuticals and some of the invasive surgeries that are done for gut issues, um, with us coming out, well, effective in all 12, it's incredible that it's not being used more widely here in the UK and that people are having to find out for themselves to get that help. Just to reference one particular trial that interests me, they did one about how long it takes for the gut to empty. And the standard emptying time, which can cause problems with digestion, came in this research trial at 274 minutes. They then gave the participants a pharmaceutical intervention. It then speeded up to 227 minutes. But when they gave hypnotherapy, it went up to 150 minutes. So much faster. 150 as compared to 274. What a difference just using hypnotherapy. It blew me away, and I just thought with all the data that's there, it so needs to be used more widely here. Now, this research all was kicked off through the work of Professor Warwell. And I know, Georgina, that you've studied his work and have followed what he does. Maybe you could just explain to us a bit about that now.
Okay. IBS is really, really common. The problem is people don't talk about it enough. And so things like we're doing here hopefully will increase people's awareness of the help that we can offer. The term irritable bowel syndrome has been adopted since the 1960s. It's more common in women than men by about 3 to 2. It's a syndrome, of course, so it's not a disease.
Yeah.
It's not life-threatening directly. But about 15% of the adult population in the UK actually suffer from IBS.
Yeah.
And you know, because you deal with it as well, that the symptoms can be really debilitating. In many ways, people put their lives on hold because of this condition. And we're often the last resort, which is frustrating in the extreme. It actually costs the NHS about £200 million a year. And, the syndrome is classified as IBS if it is chronic. And there are additional symptoms that run for at least 6 months. So Peter Warwell is a professor of enterology who works from Manchester. He's been looking at this condition, studying this condition for around about 40 years. So, I mean, his work is seen as seminal in many ways. Perhaps one of the most interesting studies was published in The Lancet in 1984. And that was a work that is still quoted today. And really that was the start for Peter Warwell, I think, then at that stage. He took 30 patients. He actually put 15 patients on psychotherapy with a placebo. He then actually put 15 on just hypnotherapy. And he found that with the psychotherapy, there was a slight improvement, and the placebo. He found that on those 15 patients that he actually used hypnotherapy, it was so effective that there were no relapses for 3 months. Awesome. So I think really for Peter Warwell, that was really what started him on this journey. And he actually now in his clinic treats 3,000 patients a year and actually takes in 400 new patients every year. So this is proof, if anyone needed, that this is really, really, effective therapy. 70% of the people that he sees have really long-term beneficial improvements from the hypnotherapy that he uses. So I actually myself have looked at his work because I've been seeing a huge amount of people who've come to me saying that they've done a bit of research, they've heard that hypnotherapy may be helpful, and they've turned to me for any help that I can give them. What we do know is that although stress isn't the only reason people suffer I.B.S, it is a factor that exacerbates the problem. When they've done studies in rats and animal studies, they found, for example, if a rat's restrained or it's put on a platform surrounded by water where there doesn't seem to be any escape, then the motability of the gut changes. And yeah, you get a speeding up one part and a slowing down the other. And really what that does, that creates that effect where the ripple effect of the bowel actually isn't working in the way that it should. And that can lead to either constipation, and a lot of people suffer from constipation, but it can also lead to, extremely volatile diarrhea. So a client may come suffering from either of those conditions. Often fatty diets and, too many spices and things like that can, increase the problems. But the reality is that if we can actually look at the underlying reasons for the stress, if we can begin to address lifestyle changes that actually mean that maybe people themselves begin to address those issues, then couple that with some hypnotherapy which begins to calm everything, then that creates an enormously beneficial effect. And the work that I've done with my clients, many of them, it's completely changed their lives. It's turned things around for them. So a huge amount of people come to me through recommendation from people that have actually seen me. And so although we want more people to be talking about this condition, when people have positive effects and they actually do feel better, then interestingly, they do start to talk.
Yes.
And we get a huge amount of clients then coming to us. But what we really need, I had on, this week, a client come to me who said that I was her last resort, but her doctor had said there was no more could be done for her and hadn't mentioned hypnotherapy, which is frustrating because Peter Warwell has had paper after paper after paper published, and that's been over the last 30 or 40 years. So obviously the information does need to get across to the GPs and the other medical professionals that we can offer help. It takes around about 10 years often to diagnose IBS, because of course people go through raft after raft of different interventions. They go through all sorts of tests, and people do have to be tested to make sure that there isn't a medical problem. But often IBS can mimic things like gynecological problems.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And so somebody may be sent down completely the wrong route on investigation, which all takes time, costs the NHS huge amounts of money. And Peter Walwell doesn't use colonoscopy or anything anymore. So we need perhaps as well to have a completely new look at treatment when it comes to this condition. So that's why I work with it, Zetta.
Yeah, yeah.
And in fact, I am at the moment writing a training program for hypnotherapists to help them deal with this, because we need more people out there working with this.
Absolutely, we do. And when you see the effects as I do and you do every day in your therapy room, and you think of all the people who are being denied this or don't know enough about it, as you said, it's that personal investigation. Everyone who approached me said, "Oh, look, I've looked, I've researched, and it looks like that there might be something in this." You think, gosh, if they were getting that support from their GP, it would cut out so much suffering time aside from anything else, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. And NICE actually recognise hypnotherapy as a valid treatment as well.
Yeah.
So, this is even more sad in many respects, that we're not getting these referrals.
Yeah. And it gives people a sense of hope as well, doesn't it? And a feeling that they can take control back somewhat. If they understand what's going on in their body. I also feel we talk about what's happening, as you've just explained. And also, as we know, during the stress response, the digestive system kind of shuts down because the energy and blood flows pumped into our arms and legs to run and fight. So that system's unsupported. When people start to understand that there's something really going on there that they can, with their mind, begin to control by calming their systems.
I worked with one chap who was suffering extreme IBS every time he went to a particular location.
Gosh, yeah.
And that was because something had happened in that location that had caused him to have that stress response.
Yeah.
And in fact, he was a builder, and he'd been in the basement of this particular building, and there'd been a partial collapse. All the lights went out. The place was covered with dust. He couldn't see to get back out again. And just for that instant, that was a disastrous situation. He did get out and he was fine. But he had to, because it was his job, he had to carry on working with that building. And every time he went anywhere near that village where that building was, he actually suffered extremely severe IBS. Yeah. But years later, even when that job was finished, every time he went to that village or had to drive through that village, it started to re-trigger that IBS response. So you're absolutely right. And the thing is, that's the mind-body connection.
Yeah.
So, the mind was trying to keep the person away from danger, experiencing that same reaction again. And it's often investigations like that we can dig into and actually find out when it started, how it started, what is the mind and body actually reacting to. So there's a lot that we can do investigatively as well that actually can bring a huge amount of relief.
Absolutely.
I also teach my clients self-hypnosis.
Yes.
And, so this puts things very firmly in their control as well. So if they do begin to feel, stressed, then a little bit of self-hypnosis can actually begin to calm things back down again. So I'm a great believer in actually helping people to help themselves.
It's getting the control back, isn't it?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
understanding it. I think when we talk about the mind-body connection, it's important to say we're not saying it's all in your mind.
Absolutely.
You've really got that problem. Yes, your body
Yes.
is reacting.
Yeah.
I think people can feel misunderstood or unsupported, and it's no, your mind is creating a genuine response to a situation, and
Absolutely.
we need to understand to try and help you and get your body system back under your control.
It's definitely a functional problem. The
Yeah,
body is not functioning in the rhythm that it should.
yeah, yeah,
And there's nothing that isn't real about that.
yeah, yeah.
I'll read you a quote. Actually, I've got a quote here
Oh,
from Peter Warwell, and really this encompasses everything that you just said there. This was in an interview that he did in 2016. And he said, when I was a medical student back in the 1970s, we were told that people with I.B.S. were oversensitive females and that they shouldn't be taken too seriously. This erroneous perception of I.B.S. has unfortunately persisted. Now, that was in the 70s. And Peter Warwell obviously is a professor now,
yes, yeah,
but he was training to be a medical doctor at that stage. So, if that's what doctors were being told at that time, we've come a long way away from that now.
Yeah,
but of course, there's still much to do to educate and dispel these myths that it's all in the mind, because this is a functional problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what we're trying to do today, to get people to understand what's going on and that something can be done about it, and that it's getting the right support. So hopefully people maybe will go to their GP and say, I've heard about this hypnotherapy, what can we do about it, or try and find someone locally that will be able to support them, and help them get their lives back.
I think if I could give therapists a piece of advice, it would be to write to the GP of every client that you actually work with. One, out of courtesy, to make sure that there are no contraindications to you seeing them, to make sure that the diagnosis of I.B.S. is actually, that everything else has been investigated, but also write to the GP once you've finished with that client and the client's experiencing relief, because more than anything, this is actually going to get the message across to GPs that not only are we accepted as a relevant treatment by NICE, but actually what we do is helping.
Yes, yeah, and it's those real stories when they hear it, directly, that make such a difference. It's not abstract. It's not an abstract statistic.
Absolutely.
It's a real person who's got better, or who's got their body function back under control.
And the bottom line as well is, of course, the GP will be saving lots of money.
Yes, and that's a wider thing, isn't it? It's not just the NHS, but it's looking at perhaps people on sick benefit, off work, and being able to contribute to society again, and their mental health and how they feel. It's a win-win, isn't it, really?
Peter Warwell actually does look at the diet. He actually recommends a FODMAP diet.
Oh, yes.
And he also, on occasion uses antidepressants, because they are shown to actually have a positive beneficial effect on the gut. So, we're not the only thing that he actually uses. But in severe cases where none of that helps, then of course he does use hypnotherapy, and actually he does prescribe hypnotherapy. So yes, we can hopefully get this message across.
It's so interesting that all this work on I.B.S. started here in England, and was groundbreaking in its time. In America, they've picked it up, they've run with it, they're using it really widely, and we haven't moved forward enough with it. But this is we're at that point now, I think, where this can begin to change.
And I have to say, this also covers all races, all socioeconomic, status. It's not confined to any one particular part of the population. And that's why, we need to actually get cracking with this, really.
Well, if 4 in 10 adults in the world are going to be affected by gut-brain issues, that's a huge number of people, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you, Georgina. That's been really interesting talking to you. Hopefully, it's been informative to our viewers. And we'll be doing some more informative videos for you coming up. So look out for us in the future.
Excellent. Thank you very much,
Thanks,
Zetta.
Georgina. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.